everybody, to another brand new episode of Zeta Global Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Sunday. Welcome, welcome. We continually have been recently talking about the idea of going into our subconscious, the idea of going into some of those crevasses we don't even know exist, going into clearing the rotor-rooter, if you will, but really going into the essence of our soul and bringing these elements out to be cleared so we can remove any blocks, any vibrational blocks, inhibitors, disallowances, resistances, anything that can keep us from being in the trueness of who we are. So today is an absolute wonderful day to hone that in even deeper. And we welcome to Zeta Global Radio, Nathan Main, who is an adept energy transformationalist. And his work is absolutely everything I just shared and then some. He is a clearer of those limiting beliefs, and we're going to learn today how he works with you and how you can work with your own self and go into really deprogramming so much that has evolved through the media, through childhood, through parental beliefs, and everything that we've experienced in this lifetime. So I'm thrilled. I welcome to the show Nathan Main. Welcome.
Thank you, Lenny. It's good to be with you.
Yeah, it's good to be with you too. I've known you for years, and you just continue to just build your community, and it's just a thrill. I know you're based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and here we've got the world now with technology able to hear different people share their stories and really connect the dots. So why don't we just do that? Maybe we'll start with a lot of it, maybe just give them your background on your world. My favorite question really is to always ask somebody about their background growing up and how they came into being. Was there a spiritual awakening that happened at one point? Or were you always that way? So maybe just kind of start from there. Give a little bio. How's that?
In a Christian home, my father was a Christian minister, or the Methodist minister, to be exact. And so that was my early influence. And as a young child, I experienced other dimensions. I didn't have the references for it. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it meant, or I didn't really know much of anything. I just know that I was experiencing things that no one else in my family was experiencing. So, I felt somewhat of an island unto myself. And then as I grew older, I was just pretty much a normal teenager, and, I was a bit of a maverick and a typical preacher's son, as you probably understand if you've known preacher's sons.
You know what? I was raised Jewish, but I've met so many people who, amazingly, I've met many people who are the son of a preacher man. So this is really interesting. So I don't know the experience other than I've known people who've been altar boys. And so I don't know what that means other than I'm assuming very conservative.
Right. Well, fairly much so, but I was a bit of a maverick and, went against the grain. And it was just in my nature to question everything and not to go along with the status quo. And then I got into experimenting with psychotropic drugs that would alter one's consciousness. And I had some really profound experiences. If you don't understand that what some of these drugs do is they open up your chakras. And so I had numerous experiences where my chakras were being blown wide open. And I had very mystical experiences, very esoteric type of experiences that really opened up my world and my understanding about life and about spirituality and that sort of thing.
Can I ask you a couple questions right there before we go on? First off, I totally relate to that. Totally understand. All that is a background of mine. What I am wondering, were you part of the Timothy Leary sort of movement? Was that a different time period? Was it a different part of the world? I wondered if he had effects on, what was happening in your world when it came to that, because that was such an explosion time. In fact, there was a documentary about Timothy Leary, and the filmmaker was on ZGR at one point. So I'm a big proponent of people knowing about the expansionary parts of these things.
Yes, I was that right along that same time.
Yeah.
Many people were sort of waking up, I guess you could say, were experiencing profound experiences, going into expansion and lightness of being, and that's what I experienced, and had many, many very, very profound experiences. And at that time, you get to a certain point in your discoveries, your awakening, and you realize, well, this is wonderful, but this is not how I want to spend the rest of my life. I really want to master certain types of exercises that allows me to do this through meditation, to experience the profound through meditation. So that's what I did in my 20s. And I knew that I was being guided many here and there. I'd studied. I just couldn't get enough about the mystical life of Jesus. Everything I get my hands on around the mystical life of Jesus absolutely fascinated me. I just couldn't get enough of it. And then about my mid-20s, I discovered Paramahansa Yogananda and had such a strong resonance with him and with his teachings. And then in my late 20s, I discovered the Ascended Masters. And I've very much involved in the Ascended Master teaching and was involved in a mystery school, Ascended Master Mystery School, for about 20 years. And then from there, I knew that I was being guided in a way that it was time for me to stop studying with others and to allow my own divinity to come forth and develop within me. So that's what I've been doing ever since. And for quite a number of years, I've been guided to facilitate group energy clearing and light activations. And now, and over the last several years, it's more around facilitating online groups, because I discovered there's a great demand online for these awakening processes. And what we do in my Being in the Vortex spiritually online circles is we activate our light. And when we talk about activating our light, many, metaphysically minded, very New Age, spiritually minded people, they only know what they know. They don't know everything. And so I do my best to educate people and let them begin to awaken to who and what we are actually, not as humans trying our best to be spiritual, but as spiritual beings first and foremost, having a human experience. So that's kind of where we come from. And we utilize proclamations and blessings and power codes and very powerful proclamations that activate this phenomenal energy field that we all have. We have this phenomenal energy field. And I know a lot of metaphysically minded people and spiritually minded, New Age kind of spiritually minded people that are wonderful and do great work. But not very many of them, I'm finding, really understand what we have at our fingertips. We have a phenomenal energy field that is jam-packed full of spiritual components. Now, everybody's aware of the chakras, but we have the 7 basic chakras, but we have many, many, many chakras. And they're not so much aware of the multitude of the chakras that we actually have in our energy field. And then we have meridians. So these are all power centers. And then we have 144,000 points of light. We have 725 chakras and meridians. We have 21 subtle bodies. We have the tree of life. We have the Merkaba. We have the crystal lattice, and we have the column of light. And I've discovered in recent years that we have 14 additional spiritual components that are known and unknown in various cultures across the world. And what these do is when they're being activated is they light us up. We actually do light up. And what happens in the process, Lainey, is we start losing the density in our body. And I've had profound experiences in losing all density in my body to the point that you could take your hand and go all the way through me like you were pressing on a damn sponge with no resistance and not harming me in the least bit. So we have that capacity to lose all density in our body and to light up like a Christmas tree.
I have so many questions in what you just said because you've totally blown my mind. I think now I'm one of those that we don't even know, et cetera, what you said. So what I want to do is I'm going to take a quick break, allow our wonderful sponsors from ZGR to say hello to our listeners. And when we come back, I want to go back to everything that you just mentioned about all those centers because my mind is spinning with the fact that there are things you touched on I wasn't aware of. So why don't we do that? Let's take a break. We'll be right back. We're listening to Lainey with Nathan Main. We're listening to ZGR. Conscious businesses. Do you have a powerful prayer, meditation, affirmation, audiobook, or music that you're ready to bring to the global stage? Have you considered taking your enlightened gifts to the next level by recording them professionally so the world can hear your knowledge and wisdom? Enlightened Audio and Sound is your production source for taking your talents and making them and you known all over the planet. Record in a magical setting with the expertise of renowned music engineer, composer, and recording artist Howard Merlin Wolkin. Will not only assist you in developing a concept that can be recorded with top-level commercial quality, but will also assist you in bringing your media asset to market in a variety of mediums, including digitally to iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, and thousands of more outlets. To learn more, visit our Facebook page, Enlightened Audio and Sound, about bringing your business and career to new heights. So I am taking in all the things that you said because first off, I also study with Ascended Masters and so many things that you talk about, from meridians to Merkaba to points of light to more chakras than we know that existed. All of that is amazing, and I guess I'm going to ask a completely 101 question. All of those areas, are they all happening at once? Because in my mind, I can get focused on a Merkaba and really tune into that in my field. And I've been making it an or the chakra system or the meridians. But you're saying they're all working in unison at the same time together, or how can we break it down a little bit for people who may not even know what a meridian or a chakra or a Merkaba is?
Well, they're basically power centers. They represent an aspect of our being. And, a lot of metaphysicians practice chakra meditations where they're just really focused on the 7 major chakras. And that's fine. However, our preference is to work on everything simultaneously. And that means even the spiritual components that we're just waking up to, we just kind of have an idea of. Don't really fully understand. We don't have the full knowledge of what they do for us. We just know that they exist, and we know that we're spiritual beings. We know that we're infinite divine creator beings. And these are our tools. All these spiritual components are what we've been given to work with. And what happens is, as they begin to get activated more and more, what happens is the way that we perceive the world as solid and real begins to dissipate. It begins to fall away. And all the superficial veils that are such a part of our programming begin to dissipate. And the way that we perceive everything changes dramatically. So everything that's superficial that we bought into, that we were taught, or that we created or made up ourselves, all that loses its density in terms of our consciousness. And what begins to show up is that we are indeed infinite beings. We are indeed divine beings. We are creator beings.
One of the things that I'm wondering, because you just touched on all those areas, that they go away, but I feel like those are the areas where the limiting the beliefs and the blockages and the stucks and the resistance are happening, where people don't even know they're running this program. Is that correct? I mean, these are the areas they start to go away through clearings, or are these the areas that we're looking at in terms of clearing that you do with your clients and that everyone's working on being exposed to, that they exist, so they can be, so people can live their full potential.
The programming and conditioning begins to dissipate and fall away, and then what's left with us is a clearer grasp of what's really going on in our life. And we start showing up as our true divine being. I don't like to use the word selves, because self, it's hard to get away from it, Lainey, but self is really implies ego, that we're so much more than the ego. We are infinite beings, we are divine beings, and we are creator beings. And something really got lost back in the 13th century, and where people just started making up all kinds of stuff, taking Scripture as literal and making everything solid and real in terms of consciousness. And it's so far away from the true teachings of Jesus. Was not about a supreme being. I can guarantee you that. Nowhere does he ever have any reference to God, and that word didn't even come into existence until the 13th century. But what he did try to impart to us is that we already have everything within us. It's not separate from us. It's not up there, out there. It's already within. So that is showing us that we already have everything within us. We are a universe unto ourselves, and we're all connected to everyone's universe. We're all so connected on a multiplicity of levels of being. And we're already divine. I mean, we come into this world with our programming conditioning that there's something wrong or missing with us, that we're not whole and complete. And those are false teachings. And many religions are teaching that which is false and untrue. And I'll speak to Christianity because I was raised as a Christian. So I feel like I can do that. I'm entitled. Okay? So anyway, what I do is help people clear their conditioning and their programming and begin to lose all that stuff so it can just fall away, and then they're left with a clearer mind of spiritual consciousness. And it's not about, doesn't have anything to do with religious ideologies or dogmas or anything like that. It has to do with waking up to our own divinity, that which we were designed with. We're designed as phenomenal spiritual beings. We are already that which we seek. And now this is a little bit difficult for a lot of people that have been programmed to condition all their lives. It's difficult to begin to grasp that they are already that which they seek.
What I need to ask is, if we already have this, we already have it, well, it's already inside, and I am a 100% believer, and my children's book said all we ever need is already inside, but the depth of the truth of it is what you're saying. So it begs the question, if we already have this inside, how can we learn ourselves to activate it? It's not saying, it's not to take away from the work you or anybody's doing, but how is it that we can activate our own divinity, our own essence of this core of knowledge? It's just, we need to just be awakened to it through teachers, through practitioners, through work that you do, through work that we do, or are there certain just basic things that we can be sharing with the audience that says that it's already inside, and here's how you activate it? Because I don't think people know how, and obviously they don't know how. I know it's difficult more to clear their limiting beliefs, but just having that awareness themselves that everything they have is their own, how to access their own universe is really, because this show today is about activating our own, raising our frequency, activating our light. So how can somebody do that for themselves, in addition to some of the deeper work of things that may need assistance?
Well, primarily is getting away from the attachment to beliefs. What we humans do, what we're conditioned to do and programmed to do, is constantly make things up. We make assumptions, we draw conclusions, We're highly opinionated. And if we're not making up our own stuff, we're buying into something that someone else made up. So that's what we got to get away from. We have to detach from this conditioning of beliefs and belief systems because they do not serve us. All we really need is virtues, principles, and ideals to embrace that enhances the quality of our life, enhances the quality of our consciousness. That's all we need. Everything else you can throw in the trash can because none of it serves us. It keeps us dumbed down. So when we talk about how can we raise our vibrational frequency resonance, that's basically what we do in our Being in the Vortex Spiritually online circles, is we get together and we focus on certain proclamations and blessings and statements, mantras that activates this phenomenal energy field we were talking about earlier that's just full of all kinds of spiritual components. So when we're doing the right exercises, all of this begins to get activated within our being. And we experience that lightness of being, expanded consciousness. And what begins to happen is everything that, all the ways in which that we are conditioned and programmed to see the world as solid and real, that falls away because it's really an illusion. It's not solid and real like we think it is, like we're conditioned to believe it is. And everything is interdimensional. So we are multi-dimensional beings having a human experience here on planet Earth in this third-dimensional consciousness reality. And that's just one aspect of who we are as these phenomenal spiritual beings.
Nathan, we need to take a break. We will take only a brief one. I want to get back right into this, and everybody stick around. We'll be right back. Trice Massage Therapy and Skincare is Southwest Florida's premier holistic and wellness spa to relax and rejuvenate your well-being. Founded by Lucille Trice, this enlightened haven located in Cape Coral offers a variety of massage therapies including Swedish, deep tissue, and trigger point massage. Trice offers detoxifying body wraps and facials using natural organic ingredients to pamper your skin and restore balance and health. Visit their Trice Massage Therapy and Skincare Facebook page or call 239-672-0526 and book your experience today. Mention ZGR and receive a complimentary ionic foot detox experience.
Spiritual Communities Network, where we honor the uniqueness in our oneness. Visit our website to meet our vast spiritual community of healers, therapists, conscious events, and activities. Visit and check out our directory, upcoming retreats, workshops, products, free videos, and much more. Many services are available globally by phone, Skype, and other sources of media. You'll also find more information on how you can be a member to promote the work you're doing in the world. Visit us now at spiritualcommunitiesnetwork.com.
Welcome back to Zeta Global Radio. Ooh, this is a cosmic conversation. I'm so glad we're getting into this. Sometimes we go deep, and hopefully you guys are along for this beautiful journey. And speaking of being along, Nathan and I were talking off air about how it would be nice to engage all of you who are listening into this vortex that we're talking about. Nathan's talking about, and experience what this might look like. And Nathan, I'll let you explain a little bit further and then let you show us, or at least let us hear and let us experience what we might be in for.
Okay.
I think that would be amazing. I think the people who are listening to this show all have dealt with limiting beliefs or are dealing with them now. I think people who are even in thriving still may have an area, a wound, a stuck part. So I believe all of us can value of what you're going to share in a clearing. I'm excited.
All right. We'll begin with prepping our spiritual committees to work. Okay? So everyone has spiritual committees whether they are aware of it or not. So the ones that we're going to be bringing to light are our divine presences. It's what a lot of people want to call a higher self, which really higher self is just a concept. It doesn't really activate light. However, divine presence is the pinnacle of our being, and it actually activates light. So we're going to call upon our divine presence, we're going to call upon our inner holiness, and we're going to call upon our high self spiritual committee. And our high self spiritual committee is made up of angelic beings and light beings from infinite levels of consciousness. And so we're going to make sure that they're all prepped to work, and that they're all working together, and then they're working with us to help us clear our human conditioning and programming. It's third dimensional stuff. Okay, so we'll clear all that, get that out of the way, and then we'll take a look at all that needs to be cleared on a regular basis. It's the stuff that we make up and the stuff that we buy into. If we have a little bit of time, we can see what the Spirit might guide us to certain charts that are a little more explicit. Infinite Spirit, infinite consciousness, divine intelligence. Infinite Spirit, infinite consciousness, divine intelligence. Infinite Spirit, infinite consciousness, divine intelligence. We ask that you prep our divine presences to work to the highest level of radiant love. Please prep our divine presences to work to the highest level of radiant love. Now, done, thank you, now, done, thank you, now, done, thank you. And please prep our inner holinesses to work to the highest level of radiant love. Please prep our inner holinesses to work to the highest level of radiant love. Now, done, thank you, now, done, thank you, now, thank you. And Spirit, we ask that you please prep our high self spiritual committees to work to the highest level of radiant love. Please prep our high self spiritual committees to work to the highest level of radiant love. Now, done, thank you, now, done, thank you, now, thank you, Spirit. And infinite Spirit, infinite consciousness, divine intelligence, divine presence, inner wholeness, high self spiritual committees. We ask that you research, investigate, explore each and every one of our listeners. Consciousness, beingness, heart, mind, and soul. And we ask that you please clear all the why for, therefore, and how fors, the reasons, the excuses, the justifications, the why not, cannots, the must nots, the could nots, should nots, would nots, am nots, and their justifications. Please clear all the mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic blockages, inhibitors, prohibitors, disallowances, and resistances. Please clear all related limiting conditioning and programming. Everything that we made up, everything that we bought into, does not represent the truth of truths at the highest level of radiant love. We ask that you please clear all that from our consciousness, our beingness, heart, mind, and soul. Please clear everything that does not resonate in the terms of the truth of truths at the highest levels of radiant love, the highest levels of infinite spirit consciousness. Please clear from our being on all levels, every cell, every atom, every molecule in our physical being. Please clear throughout our energy field and all of our spiritual components, all 144,000 points of light, all 725 chakras and meridians, all 21 subtle bodies, our tree of life, our Merkaba, our crystal lattice, our column of light, and all 14 additional spiritual components, known and unknown in various cultures. Please clear. Everything is clear so that we're crystal clear in our consciousness, our beingness, heart, mind, and soul. Please clear away everything that does not ultimately belong in terms of who and what we are as infinite divine creator light beings. Now, done, thank you, Spirit. Now, done, thank you. Now, done, thank you. Now, done, thank you, Spirit. Now, done, thank you. Now, done, thank you. Now, thank you, Spirit. So some of our listeners will have felt that and realized that something's different in their being, that they have a greater clarity of heart and mind in the ever-present now because of this clearing that we just got through doing. Okay? Others might be still caught up in their trying to figure everything out and try to make sense of everything. And that's okay. It's just part of the process.
That was beautiful. I thought it was amazing. What I felt, for me, it was a very light feeling, going from density to light, almost going from carbon to crystalline. It felt like there was a lifting and an expansion of energy. In the middle of it, I'm at my home studio today, and my very cosmic dog was just just doing anything to come in, and I thought, oh, there she is. She really just tunes into the energy. So everything for me I felt was just beautiful, and I just was just smiling the whole time. So I'm in gratitude. Thank you. And I look forward to hearing what other people felt that as well. I think that if they stay in their heart and they stay open, you could feel like things turning on and starting to move and spin and illuminate.
So are you experiencing a lightness of being?
That's what I felt like immediately. It felt lighter, almost floating. So that was the first sense that I had, that everything feels lighter, as it would be moving, like I said, from density to lightness, from carbon to crystalline. Is that along the lines?
Are you aware of a particular clarity of mind?
The clarity of mind, I feel right in my third eye. It feels like it's more open.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about a clarity of heart?
That would be the next area. I felt this this light connected from my heart to my third eye, and that whole area was that's where I felt the experience.
Very good. So our true intelligence lies in the heart, not in the mind or the brain, in the heart, the heart's energy. And, you've probably heard yogis say the farthest distance that you'll ever travel is from the third eye to the heart.
Well, that seemed to be traveling really well in that moment. That was really profound. And again, you touched on areas. It felt like it was just activating this cosmic consciousness and this cosmic computer, and sort of getting it like a tune-up, like an over, so it's very quick work, it feels like. And I hope people have that same experience. So I'll be curious. For people who are new to this or just experiencing that, you said, don't go into the mind. Maybe do they do a bath, or do they do some writing, or do they just sit in the space and journal? Or what would you recommend for people who are having this new sort of pop?
Well, I think writing and journaling is very, very good, because it helps people get beyond their thinking mind, where, we have this tremendous left brain capacity that wants to analyze everything. But we want to get beyond that, trying to figure everything out, and just be in the moment, because it's when we can learn how to be, Lainey, that's when we're the most connected. And when I'm talking about being, is where we're so present in the moment. We're not thinking about yesterday. We're not thinking about tomorrow. We're not trying to figure anything out. We're not trying to prove anything. We don't have an agenda. We're so purely in the moment. That is when we are the most connected.
So true. I really wish that right there for so many people who are really set in those convictions of how they think something's supposed to be, how they think someone's supposed to be, when really, if we could just be in the presence of feeling and connecting to the energy of someone, they'd see how pure the light is, and that we're all the same light in that respect.
I think it's important also, Lenny, that we drop and set aside and forget about what we think that everything is supposed to look like and feel like and be like. Mm-hmm. That all that does is create limitation, is that we want to be open and receptive to the divine. And what I mean by the divine is that there are aspects of divine intelligence a lot of people want to refer to as a supreme being. However, through my discoveries, that is all made up. All there is consciousness, and we're an infinite part of it, and it is an infinite part of us. We are already that which we seek. We are already infinite divine creator beings, and we're actually light beings. We come from light, and we return to light. We have a light being status long before we ever came into human form.
I'm going to take our last break here at that point. That is a great way to segue into our last segment, to remind people of those very truthful and really fundamental aspects to who we are. You're listening to ZGR. We'll be back in a moment. Hi, Lainey Savante here, and I'd love for you to visit my new Facebook page for my private tarot and oracle session readings called Intuitive Wisdom. That's IN2UITIVE Wisdom. Conscious strategies for manifesting a more harmonious life. Don't we all want to have that? Let's see what's in the cards for you as we look at what needs to be cleared, expanded upon, and evolved. There's a lot to explore when we take a deeper look inside ourselves. I warmly invite you to join me, as well as Esther Miner, who's an intuitive medium, Reiki therapist, and meditation guide, along with Chantal Fanak, who is a hypnotist, life coach, and Reiki master, for a day of celebration. And that celebration is of you. We invite you to let go, relax, and find a sense of self within. You are invited to join us for a full day of enlightened experiences to remind you of the peace, harmony, and freedom that you already have. You'll be inspired and excited in renewed belief systems as you engage in meditation, Reiki, hypnosis, tarot, music, nature, community, and sacred wisdom. Space is limited, and we invite you to register now by going to soulwarrior44.com. Your renewed you awaits. How is everybody doing from that experience? You might have to go back and listen to that over and over, and please share this far and wide with everybody who is really looking to get out of their own way and to realize exactly, you've heard that many times before, we're really spiritual beings having a human experience, and that is the truth today. And that there's so many aspects to this universe, as Nathan is sharing, that reside within this flesh and bones. And I know that's just the tip of the iceberg. And any last words of wisdom in this last segment you want to share with the audience, Nathan, about this topic today? Before we, definitely we're going to give them all sorts of ways to reach you and contact you and enter your community, and what we can do, maybe next steps, or, anything you want to impart. It's all yours. Go for it.
If I may, let me just suffice with the awakening mantra, which we have discovered is probably the most valuable of all of our tools, and that we like to use the emotional freedom technique, tapping, because what happens is it goes through our meridian system, which winds up in our entire being, all levels, aspects, and dimensions, not just the physical, but everything. And that mantra, the awakening mantra, is I deeply and profoundly love, honor, cherish, and respect myself as an infinite and divine creator light being. And that might, for people that are new to it, they're already trying to wrap their heads around what does that mean. Well, what it means is that we're honoring who and what we truly are. And what that does is it begins to activate our spiritual components within our energy field. So the more that our spiritual components are activated, the more our entire energy field is activated, and that's when we start experiencing the lightness of being. Now, people are not going to experience this overnight. This requires a lot of practice, because we've got to acclimate ourselves to actually activating light. Most people don't. They kind of have some kind of concept of it, but they don't really fully understand what activation of light is. So that's an extremely powerful mantra, and we do it for probably about at least 10 minutes in our circles, online circles.
Let's talk about those circles. How does one join your circle? What is that all about?
Well, they can research it on my website, transformationnathan.com, and just look for Vortex Circles, and they can learn more about it there. We do have 4 online circles, and one's on Saturday morning, 8 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, and then we have a Tuesday night and a Wednesday night. We had a Monday night for a while, but people's schedules changed and everything, so we decided it just wasn't strong enough a group to keep it going. But we do have the Saturday morning, and then we have the Tuesday and Wednesday evenings, and that's from 6:30 to 8 Mountain Standard Time. The Saturday program is only an hour, it's from 8 to 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And so we come together, and we're like a spiritual family because we're so connected. We communicate every week. And so there's a lot of love vibration between us. We really do consider ourselves a spiritual family. And so we come together to state these phenomenally powerful mantras and proclamations and divine blessings that raises our frequency. So we get to experience this together, this lightness of being, this opening of the heart and the mind, and this expansion. We get to experience that together and get to share our experiences. And that's quite remarkable because then we realize that other people are having very similar experiences to our own. And when we experience it together, it's a very, very beautiful and powerful thing.
Are you going to be creating more circles, or?
We're not looking for large numbers. We're just looking for quality of consciousness, people that have already come along to a certain degree, that they're ready for perhaps a more advanced spiritual practice, because we're not about beliefs, we're not about religion, we're not about religious ideologies or dogmas or anything, that we do not embrace beliefs. We only embrace the energy of infinite spirit consciousness and our own divine essence or divine presence. That's what we embrace. And so what spirit does, Lainey, is communicate with us by way of the energy, not by way of beliefs, but by way of the energy. And the energy of spirit will always show us the truth. And as long as we are tuned to the energy of spirit, we'll be guided in an appropriate way that leads to our spiritual growth and understanding. It's not by way of beliefs that we find awakening. It's by way of attuning ourselves to the energy of spirit.
Thank you for maybe putting that beacon out, because I tuned right into you and I've known you for a very long time. And you came in so clearly that, oh, Nathan's supposed to be on the show now. So I really picked up on that and felt that there's always purpose for these shows. There's purpose for why each person comes on at the time they come on. It's the entire show is divinely directed. Rarely do I plan in advance what I'm going to talk about, ever, almost. And I allow this to be the platform of consciousness in the now. So thank you for being here and being part of that. And yeah, and for people who want to do these private sessions with you, you still send them to Transformation Nathan. They can learn all about that there.
Yes, that's very, very valuable, is to have a private, personal clearing of all your stuff. Just getting all that stuff out of the way. Yeah. All that stuff that blocks our energy. So that would be advised primarily. And then if they feel like they're ready to get involved in more advanced spiritual work, we can talk about that.
Well, you might get a call from me. Thank you, Nathan. Stay on the line. We're going to say goodbye to our say goodbye to our listeners here, and thank you all for being on this journey today. A very powerful one, and we hope you share this with those that you feel would resonate with the work that Nathan's doing, the work that we're doing here on ZGR to move humanity forward in a very positive way, to move spiritual beings who are being humans in a very powerful way as well. Very profound show. We're so glad you were here with us. Thank you so much. Have a very blessed week. We have an all new, brand new show next Sunday. Take care.